Hello everyone, welcome to S.A.S videos by Stock Market Astrology Stats. Today, we will share some fun and insightful stats on the stock market experience of people on curated data, based on their sun position in all houses in the natal chart. First of all, we want to inform you that all contents shared are only for entertainment of general public. Contents are not to be considered as any sort of recommendation or advice. This video is not intended to promote any actions in capital market. Secondly, all data that is used in this video are publicly shared data with S.A.S team and are subjected to lot of noise and errors. No private data of any person is fetched or will be shared through channel. So let's begin. The cumulative or overall returns in stock market till now, that is 2022 March for people with sun in all houses. We were able to collect records of about 550 plus people. Not everyone in records are completely sure about their planet positions in their chart or the current investment performance. Some people just shared the date of birth and we had to calculate it. Regarding their stock market performance, we did not ask for any sort of private information and just took their word of mouth they shared with us. Mostly it's a ballpark figure from their memory. We have also averaged out decimal positions to round figures for simplicity. So, what's the overall stats for sun in all houses? The best 4 houses in our records are the 5th house with 18% return, 11th house with 17%, 12th with 16% and 10th with 15% return. The difference between houses are narrow and also shows us the insight that performance of masses are not very far off from the performance of benchmark indices. The good outperformance of 12th house and 5th house was a pleasant surprise for us. We already know that 10th and 11th houses are considered as good positions. This is one beauty of collecting data and running some simple stats. The last 4 houses in our records are the 2nd house with 7% return, 4th with 8%, 7th with 9% and 9th with 11% return. Now, this may not mean that people with sun in these 4 positions will not get good returns in stock market. There is huge volatility in performance and position of remaining planets may also make big difference in returns for such records. In certain cases, due to some big underperformance of few, the overall performance for house gets averaged down. Now let's move on to see some stats related to each individual house. Sun in the 1st house. We were able to collect about 40 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked 14% return, which is actually a good return. The average age at which they joined stock market is 26. So these people are comparatively quicker than some other houses. One thing noticeable is that, even though average return is good, the overall satisfaction from stock market is low. Only 45% people are satisfied with their experience in stock market. We are not sure why it is so, as we did not ask deep into reasons, as it can sometimes be personal. Sun in the 2nd house. We were able to collect about 50 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked 7% return. This is the lowest clocking house in records. The average age at which they joined stock market is 29. So these people are a bit late than 1st house but usually join around the start of 30s. The latest surge in users joining stock market has pushed down average age for most houses including this one. Similar to 1st house, only 45% people with this position are satisfied with their stock market experience. Low returns can be a primary reason but can also include personal reasons which we are blind to. Sun in the 3rd house. We were able to collect about 40 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 12% return. The performance seems okay and mostly neutral. So in net effect, position of other planets may play a great role in diversity of performance. The average age at which they joined stock market is 29. So these people are similar to 2nd house in that part. The big positive about 3rd house is that, Almost 95% people with this position are satisfied with their stock market experience. Sun in the 4th house. We were able to collect about 45 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 8% return. The performance is bit below normal. Also, volatility is quite high for 4th house. Few big bad performances, pulls down average of entire group. The average age at which they joined stock market is 31. So these people usually join stock markets after 30. The recent surge in users coming to stock market has reduced the overall average. Almost 70% people with this position are satisfied with their stock market experience. Sun in the 5th house. We were able to collect about 45 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 18% return. This is the best performing house of all. The average age at which they joined stock market is 27. So these people are also bit quicker to market, similar to first house. The big positive is the satisfaction of people. At a whopping 140%, people with this position got 40% more than what they were expecting. Sun in the 6th house. We were able to collect about 40 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 10% return. The average performance is bit below normal. The average age at which they joined stock market is 31. So these people join markets a bit late than usual. The delayed joining may also play a part in the subdued performance, as more time gives more compounding benefits. Almost 80% people with this position are satisfied with their stock market experience. Sun in the 7th house. We were able to collect about 65 plus records with this position. This is the highest number of records for a single house. On average, people with this position clocked about 9% return. So the performance seems bit below normal to neutral. The average age at which they joined stock market is 32. So similar to 6th house, people with this position also join markets a bit late than usual, and hence lost time can reduce performance in compounding. However, the overall satisfaction seems low for this house. At 45%, more than half feels they did not get as better experience as they expected. Sun in the 8th house. We were able to collect about 45 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 13% return. That's a good return. But the caution is volatility. This house records show that returns are actually quite diverse. Few star performers have pushed up the overall performance of the group. The average age at which they joined stock market is 26. So similar to 5th house, people with this position also join markets a bit quick. Even though returns are good, satisfaction stands at 85%. Sun in the 9th house. We were able to collect about 35 plus records with this position. This house has got the lowest records. On average, people with this position clocked about 11% return. That's quite a neutral return. The average age at which they joined stock market is 33. So, people with this position are a bit late to markets. They join after or around 35. If we remove few youngsters, the average age rises further up to 45. The higher age seems to reduce speculative nature, as returns are quite stable compared to other houses. Almost 70% people with this position are satisfied with their stock market experience. Sun in the 10th house. We were able to collect about 45 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 15% return. That's a really good return, and also is the 4th best among houses. The average age at which they joined stock market is 30. So, they seems to be mostly joining the markets in late 20s. The big positive is the satisfaction of people. At 110%, people with this position got 10% more happiness than what they were originally expecting. Sun in the 11th house. We were able to collect about 55 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 17% return. It's the second best return among all houses. The average age at which they joined stock market is 28. So, they also join markets in the late 20s, similar to 10th house. Similarly to 10th house, people with this position got more satisfaction from stock markets than they were expecting. At 120%, people with this position got 20% more rewards than their expectation. Sun in the 12th house. We were able to collect about 45 plus records with this position. On average, people with this position clocked about 16% return. It's the third best return among all houses. This did surprise many here at S.A.S team, as some were expecting normal to below normal returns. But real-world results show sometimes our expectations can be wrong. The returns also have a stable nature. The big drawback we seen in this group is that the average age at which they joined stock market is 34. So, they are quite late to stock markets compared to all other houses. This house has the highest average age of joining among all houses. Similar to 11th house, at 120%, people with this position got 20% more rewards from stock markets than their expectation. So, that's for today's stock market astrology stats. See you all later in next video with stats for moon in all houses. Till then, wishing everyone a good time. Thank you and God bless.